Am I the jerk for not sharing my salary with my wife? My name is Michael. I'm 35 years old. For the past 5 years, I've been married to Emily, a woman who I always believed shared my views on life. We met through mutual friends. Her kindness, sense of humor, and incredible passion for her work captivated me. Emily is an elementary school teacher. It's her calling, even though her salary has always been modest. I work in the corporate sector and hold a managerial position in a large company. My job is demanding, but the pay matches the effort. From the very beginning of our marriage, we agreed on how to manage our finances. Each of us contributes half of our income to a joint budget. This money covers rent, utilities, food, vacations, and other shared needs. The remaining funds are kept individually. This arrangement felt fair to us, as it allowed each of us to retain some independence while being married. This system worked flawlessly. We avoided arguments about money, and each of us could spend our share as we wished. Emily liked to invest in books for her lessons and small creative projects, while I often spent on new gadgets or my hobby, collecting vintage watches. Everything was smooth until I received a promotion a few months ago. I had worked toward this promotion for years. Long days, sleepless nights, pressure from management. It all paid off. My salary nearly doubled, and I felt proud of myself. Emily was happy for me when she found out, but her joy quickly turned into a suggestion. Michael, I think we need to revisit our finances. With such a difference in income, it would be fair if you contributed more to our joint budget. Her words stunned me. I had always believed that the money I earn is the result of my own effort. I was ready to keep contributing the same share as before, but the idea of giving even more felt unfair. I tried to explain that this promotion was my achievement and that I wanted to use part of the extra income for my own goals. But Emily looked at me with disappointment. Michael, she said, we're a family. I chose a profession that brings me joy, not money. Isn't it logical for you to share what you have? This conversation marked the start of a series of arguments. She saw my refusal as selfishness, while I felt she was trying to take away the reward for my hard work. Every discussion ended in hurt feelings and silence. I couldn't understand. Wasn't our original approach to finances fair? Or am I truly in the wrong for not wanting to give more? These questions began to eat away at me. What if I really am wrong? What if I'm damaging our marriage by clinging to my principles? But on the other hand, why should I change something that has worked for years? After several weeks of tension, I began to notice changes in Emily's behavior. She started keeping to herself more often, sharing her thoughts and feelings less frequently. If we used to have dinner together and discuss work, now she preferred to spend time alone. Sometimes she spent evenings in her room with her laptop, and honestly, it started to worry me. One evening I went to her to suggest watching a movie, but I found her browsing some financial planning website. She quickly closed the tab, but I caught the name. Something related to budgeting for couples. Emily, are you seriously studying this? I asked, trying to hide my irritation. She looked at me calmly, but there was a hidden determination in her eyes. Yes, Michael. I want to figure out how we can better manage our finances. If you don't want to revisit our approach, I'll have to find other ways. Her tone felt accusatory, and I could feel anger bubbling inside me. I tried to be rational. Why couldn't she just leave things as they were? I suggested a compromise, increasing my contributions to the joint budget, but not so much that it would significantly reduce my personal funds. However, Emily refused. Compromises don't work, Michael, when it comes to fairness, she said curtly. I felt cornered. On one hand, I understood her point of view. The difference in our incomes was indeed significant. On the other hand, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being pressured to give up my independence. Seeking advice, I decided to talk to James, my best friend. We've known each other since university, and I always valued his straightforwardness. However, his reaction disappointed me. Man, it's classic. Wives always want more. They see what you can give and start demanding more. If you give in now, you'll never see your money again. His words stung. James had always been a bit cynical, but I didn't want to reduce my wife to such a stereotype. She wasn't greedy or materialistic. I knew that. So what was going on? Why couldn't we find common ground? Meanwhile, Emily took the next step. She proposed combining our accounts entirely. We're a family, Michael, she said. Why don't we trust each other? Her suggestion seemed logical, but I saw a hidden threat in it. If we couldn't agree on something as simple as finances now, how would we decide what to spend our joint funds on later? That evening, I brought it up again. I tried to explain to her that it was important for me to preserve the system that had worked for us all these years. She listened silently, then asked an unexpected question. Michael, if I earn more, would you want me to share with you? Her words made me think. If our roles were reversed, would I expect the same from her? Or would I be satisfied with our old system? That question seemed to hang in the air all night. We never finished the conversation, and I lay awake, running different scenarios through my head. Could I put myself in her shoes? Did I still consider my arguments unshakable? Or was I wrong somewhere after all? A few days later, I came home earlier than usual and noticed Emily on the phone. She looked worried but was speaking quietly, trying to make sure I couldn't hear. I didn't want to be the kind of person who eavesdrops, but her words, accidentally reaching my ears, made me freeze. Yes, I just don't know what to do. It feels like he doesn't even understand how important this is. No, I can't just accept it. When she finished, I pretended I had just walked into the house, but inside, I was churning. Who was she talking to? Why was she discussing this with someone else and not with me? The next day, I decided to talk to her younger sister, Claire. She had always been a close friend to us and a mediator in our rare arguments. Maybe she could shed some light on Emily's behavior. But my conversation with Claire only left me more confused. Michael, do you really think this is just about money? She said, looking at me with sympathy. Emily has told me more than once that she feels unequal in your relationship, not because of your salary, but because you never take her decisions seriously. It's like this is just a symbol of everything that's been bothering her. Her words knocked the ground out from under me. I had always thought Emily and I were equals in our relationship. I valued her work, supported her hobbies, but maybe I had never really considered how my actions or inaction were perceived from her side. That evening, I tried to have an honest conversation with Emily. I told her I had spoken to Claire and asked if it was true that she felt the way her sister described. Emily was silent for a long time before she finally spoke. You know, Michael, it's not even about your salary. That was just the last straw. Every time I suggest changing something in our life, you either brush it off or say everything is fine as it is. I feel like you don't see me as an equal partner. Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. I tried to defend myself, to give examples of when we made decisions together, but she stopped me. It's not about examples, Michael. It's about the overall feeling. I want to be part of a team, not just someone who lives next to you. I felt a mix of hurt and guilt boiling inside me. Was this a fair accusation? Or was Emily just using this situation to push me out of my comfort zone? After that conversation, I realized our disagreement ran deeper than I had imagined. Emily didn't just want more money in the joint budget. She wanted me to acknowledge her as an equal, a true partner with whom I'm building a future. But how could I do that without sacrificing my own independence? I decided to take a step back to think it all through. Over the weekend, I went to visit my brother in the countryside. He had always been an example for me when it came to family matters. He and his wife have 2 kids, a shared business, and they never seem to have these kinds of conflicts. When I told him about my situation, he listened carefully, then said, Mike, you need to understand one simple thing. Money is a tool. If you hold on to it as if it's the only thing that defines your worth, then maybe you're losing something. But if you look at it as a way to strengthen your relationship, you might find what really matters. His words gave me something to think about. I returned home determined to try and see the situation through Emily's eyes. I recalculated our joint budget, taking her salary and mine into account. Then I proposed a new approach. I would contribute 70% of my salary to our joint account, but we would also set aside some money for each of us as personal savings. Emily accepted my proposal with cautious optimism. She agreed it was a step forward, but also suggested that we regularly discuss how we use our money together. For her, it wasn't about control, but about feeling that her voice mattered. A month has passed. The new system is working so far, but what pleases me most is that our relationship is changing. Emily has become more open, and I've started noticing all the things she does for us. The mutual respect she felt was lacking is finally being restored. Looking back, I see that this situation wasn't so much about money as it was about us. Being married means constantly learning, admitting your mistakes, and finding balance. And while I still feel I could have stood firmer in my position, I'm glad I took a step forward. What do you think of this compromise? Could such an approach serve as a foundation for long-term solutions in marriage?